today we're going to do processing forms. It's a very important episode. It's kind of the staple of sort of web development with PHP. Say you got a form to fill in, we're going to take the form data and do what we want with it. So I'm only going to show you the basics of this. I'm not going to do like save into a database or anything like that. That's for another episode, which is actually after object-oriented PHP, which is all stuff to do with database connectivity. It's quite a massive topic, which will cover the form collection and put the database in that, and security problems with that. Now, with a form that the user can fill in, you've got many security problems, which I'm going to touch over a little bit today. But firstly, let's create a file here. So we're going to create an HTML file for the time being, which will be our form, and that'll post to the PHP file using the post header. And I'll tell you more about headers in a second. Okay, so we're going to create our form as a HTML file, which is just going to be HTML head, a title, a body, a div with an ID. If you don't know HTML, then you should really learn that before watching these episodes. We have a container here with a form. Okay, so let's just fix this a little. Oh, jeez. Okay, for some reason it doesn't let me. Oh, there we go. So this is our form, and basically in the form tag you've got an action parameter, which is where you want to post to. So we're going to say it's going to be form, or actually post.php, and there's a method parameter, which first I'm going to show you get, but you shouldn't use get unless it's for search forms, and I'll show you why. We're going to create a little login form. Username. We're going to create a text input, and we're going to give it a name. And this parameter is important. This is how we're going to pull it in PHP. We're going to pull it by its name. So we're going to call this username. And this is just a basic form. It's not going to look very pretty, but this is just an example. Input text again. Actually, we're not going to do input text. We're going to do input password. And we're going to call that one password. Okay. And then we're going to do a submit button. Submit with a name of submit, which we're also going to check for. And the value, what's written on the button, is going to be login. Okay, let's check this out. Here's our form. Here's our username, password, and login. Now, it's a very basic form. Obviously, you could pretty this up and stuff. But this is just a demo. You can see this is a text field and this is a password field. Okay, so, and this will do a get request to post PHP. Now, PHP Storm's complaining that file doesn't exist, so let's create it. Post.php, and this is where we're going to get the input of the form. And the first thing you want to do is, if you get the input of the form on a file like this, is you don't want this to be run in the browser, because I could just go to post.php and pretend that I've submitted the form, which is a security risk. So our first check, we want to do an isset, which is I showed you in the previous episode, and we're going to check if the submit button exists in the request. If it doesn't, we know that the form is not has not been submitted. Somebody's actually gone to the address, and it's a security risk. So okay, stop looking at me. So if I went now to post.php without submitting the form, you'd get stop looking at me. Whereas if I click login, you wouldn't. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to do some validation, and then we're going to echo out the user's login, which is not what you'd actually do. You'd actually log the user in and you'd redirect to somewhere, but for the purposes of this, we're just going to echo out what the values are because we're not doing a session thing. Okay, so we're going to validate what they've put, so the username will be equal to the username. God, I cannot type today. This needs to be in quotes. because this part here is the name of what we called it on the form here. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to cheat a little bit by copying and pasting here. And we're also going to get the password. Now these here can cause an error if the username and password were never filled in. So we're going to have to do even more validation before this. We're going to have to say if the username has been set on the form, then we're going to set that. If it hasn't, we're going to echo back. I'm actually going to die, which if you don't know what die is, it basically echoes out whatever's in here, but then ends the script. It actually stops and all this won't be run. So we're going to die out with please fill in your username. Just a nice message for the user. And we're going to do the exact same again for the password, which again, this is quite a lengthy bit of code. I'm writing this in quite formal hand, but I'll show you a tip of how to do that better in a moment. Get rid of that. Okay. And now all we're going to do is we're going to echo username, do a break, and then echo password. So if we refresh now, if we type in any random crap, then we're going to get that on the other end. If we leave the password blank, as you can see here, you're only going to get the username for some reason, which is a bit weird because that should echo out there. Maybe it is still set. Yeah, I think it is still set, but we're going to have to do an OR. This means this or this. So an OR tag and then OR $get username is equal to blank. Not equal, of course. So we're also going to check if they're actually empty strings. So now this will work. Which it doesn't. That's interesting. And sorry, it should be an and, not an or. Man, I'm not very good today. Please fill in your password. There we go. That's what I wanted. So you have to fill in both now. We've acquired that. I'm filling in the old crap. And there we go. There's username and password. That's basically how form submission works. But this is using get, and this is unsecure. What I said earlier was you should only use get for search requests because the data is in the header here. You can see what the password I typed in right there in the address bar. That's very unsecure. So you should never use get for logins. So what should we use? We should use post. Problem with post is we now have to change. It works in the exact same way of get, but it doesn't put it in the header. It's hidden. So we have to now change. I'm actually just going to do a find and replace here because I'm lazy. Find replace. Everywhere where we've got $get for post instead. Replace all. So we have to change everywhere where it's got $get to $post so we can access the post values for that. So we go back to our form here. Just do a little refresh to make sure it's all cleared out. Okay. So James, and I'm going to put the password and tell me if you can see it. You can't look. Well, you can see it now because we've echoed it. But you can't see it in the address bar. It's only because we've echoed it that you can see it. So if I comment out that line there and resubmit, see, you can't see it now. That's basically form submission. We can now take this form data and do what we want with it. It's now been passed through to our script, whatever the user typed in. There is some stuff with security with databases I have to talk about, which is called a MySQL injection, or database injection, a SQL injection, stuff that we have to look at. But other than that, it's all fine. A couple of other things. What happens if people type in special characters? Oh, I need to fill in my password. That still works at the moment, but in your script it may not. You have to sort of cover all bases and strip out stuff. I wonder if I can show you that actually. I might be able to. Put a space on the end. Will that kill it if I put double quotes in? Oh, please fill in the password. Yeah. No, it still works. I can't really show you that at the moment. There may be a way in the future I can show you that. Let's try this actually. Let's try doing that. Let's see if I can break this. With that, refresh, do some quotes in here, do login. Oh yes, gotta fill in the password. That's gonna really annoy me. Oh no, it still works. It's interesting. But yeah, there is stuff where you can have special characters that can break your script if you're not careful. So we can now also extract those out. This isn't a very great example, but it'll do. And that's basically how forms work, to be honest. That's it. So you just you check if it's been submitted. You do your validation to make sure all the fields have been filled in that are required. Then you do your action down here, log the user in, redirect, whatever it may be. That's basically how forms work. It's pretty simple, huh? So yeah, if you like this episode, please click the like button down below. If you've got any questions, you can write them in the comments down below. There will be a forum at thewebfeed.co.uk soon where you can put in your questions. And I'll be there to answer them as well as other people in the community, hopefully. So this has been processing forms. The next episode is going to be handling dates, so date handling. We're going to look at dates and their significance and how to get the correct time and date in PHP, that sort of stuff. And all about time zones, excuse me. So have a look forward to that, and I'll see you next one. Thanks for watching.